Welcome to the Accelerate Campfire. I'm Lyndon Bowen, and today I'm joined by an amazing entrepreneur. I truly hope you enjoy hearing their experiences and life path. Listen in.
I'm Leslie Youngblood, standing in for Lyndon Bowen today, and with us is small business entrepreneur Craig Sylvester. Now, Craig isn't afraid to run into a fire or respond to an accident. Working 14 years as a firefighter paramedic taught him about leadership, being prepared, and staying calm under high-stress situations. Perfect lessons for pivoting his career and taking the leap into entrepreneurship. In 2011, Craig opened his gym, Michigan Kettlebell's Strength and Training Center, and has been building up his membership and community ever since. His mission is to help people incorporate fitness into their lifestyles and ultimately live better, healthier lives. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to Craig Sylvester. Yay! You can't hear the applause, so I like to, it's kind of weird to just have silence, but there's everyone saying hi in the chat too, Craig. So that's great. And so I think everybody here knows how to play this game. We're going to be dropping polls into the chat, and you will vote on the question that you want us to ask Craig next. So while we get that first poll going out there, the first poll is out there. So everybody make sure you vote. It's only got 2 minutes. I will start with a question of my own to get this conversation going. So Craig, you were a firefighter paramedic, as we noted in your intro. Besides being more comfortable than most with risk and leaping into those unknown situations, how do you think that experience prepared you for being an entrepreneur and business owner?
Well, it's a great experience because you had a lot of structure from the fire department, a lot of support, but then you also had to make decisions on your own when you're out in the field. I think the structure, and then also having to be, a decision maker at the same time, definitely helped prepare me for it. And I remember teaching my very first class, and I was at a park. I had note cards, and I was nervous, extremely nervous, and I said to myself, "Wait, you've run CPRs in people's living rooms before, so don't. This is easy.
You got this, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting? Even though you've had those experiences as an entrepreneur, business owner, you get those nerves, right? / excitement, right? We like to spin it to be that excitement. So it's like nothing can really prepare you for being an entrepreneur in that way, I suppose, right?
Definitely. And one thing I learned about entrepreneurship is I think it's one of the hardest things to do. Because especially, if you don't have, if it's not a franchise or you're just kind of going by the seat of your pants, which I kind of did. And it's, we're a firefighter or doctor or lawyer or something like that. You have a path to follow. You have to put the work in, but there's someone telling you exactly what to put in. Versus an entrepreneur, you're going to get advice from everybody, whether you want it or not.
Right.
Anyone that's walked into the gym, it's like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this?
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. What I also think is so interesting, especially given your background as a firefighter, paramedic, and Roy in the chat also noted, my husband is a firefighter. My husband and Craig actually did work together at the Shelby Township Fire Department. So yes, I have a soft spot for firefighters. As a firefighter, there's a lot, you have your schedules and then you have that free time in between your shifts. And there are many firefighters that do start their own businesses or take up a side job. So was that, the schedule conducive to you exploring that side before you took the full leap?
Yes, definitely. It definitely was, because it would have been a lot harder to do with a regular 9 to 5.
Sure. And then I think also what I love about your business too is your mission is to keep people healthy, and entrepreneurs lead a notoriously unhealthy lifestyle with the late nights, with the stress. What is something that you always suggest that you would suggest that entrepreneurs can do to be more healthy and good to themselves?
Sleep. I think a lot of us, at the beginning, it's like, well, we'll sacrifice sleep. You have to sacrifice, but there comes a point where you just have to get into a good pattern of regular sleep, regular exercise, even if it's just a little bit a day, 20, 30 minutes, just because there's always going to be work to do.
Right.
And at some point, you just have to say no. Like, this is what I'm doing for today, and that's it.
Right.
And then you have to say no.
Yep. I love that. Say no and get some sleep. Two very, very important and wonderful words of wisdom from Craig. All right. So we have our first poll response answer, Craig, and the collective would like to know, who were some of your early influences?
In the gym world, there were some, most of you probably wouldn't know who this person is, but a guy named, my earliest influence would have been Arnold Schwarzenegger. But,
Of course.
and then a guy named Zach Evanish out of New Jersey, kind of like an underground style training when kettlebells and sandbags, and before I ever even heard of CrossFit. And then to some other guys from New Jersey, a guy named Elliot Hulse was a big Joe Franco. So people that were kind of in the underground. Jersey was a really big strength area.
Gotcha.
Oh,
What about
and Pavel Tussolini?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely. He's how I heard about a kettlebell first in a small article. I believe it was FHM.
Okay.
Like a tiny little article. That's I got interested in kettlebells.
Gotcha. So for those listening that don't know what kettlebells are, can you explain that to the audience, Craig?
So it's a round weighted ball with a handle on it. So some people call it a cannonball with a handle. They're used to, you can do a lot of, ballistic dynamic work with them, like kettlebell swings, snatches, power exercises, and then you can also use them for like static strength exercises, like presses. You could squat with them. You can use 2 kettlebells at the same time. They're and they have the off-centered weight, so they're just different.
And what makes them better than dumbbells?
I think it's the off-center stuff. I'm not against anything else. I just, when I was drawn to kettlebells, I was like, oh, this is something completely different. And you can do just the way the handle is. You can do a lot more things, I think, with a kettlebell, as in the swinging, the moving, and they're a lot heavier than they seem. I came from the barbell world, and it was like, oh, 50-pound kettlebells, that's nothing. And they're like, no, they're heavy.
Yeah, Ziz says that's a great point. The off-center requires a different way of engaging the weight. Ziz knows what's up. I love that. So going back to some of those early influences, Craig, did you discover them in magazines? Was it watching Kindergarten Cop? Like how did those resonate with you? And then did you start working out like when you were 10, 15? Like, tell me more about that.
It's really seen Arnold Schwarzenegger in movies and bodybuilding stuff, and I was just kind of fascinated by it. I wasn't a naturally great athlete, but I thought, well, if I get stronger, I could be better. We probably started working out around 9th grade, just old Sears plastic set of weights. And then,
Nice.
Using a piano bench with a pillow on it as a bench press, and then just started working out through high school, and then getting a gym membership in high school, and going up to remember it was called Eastside Gym on Gratiot and East Point, and being really scared going in there as a skinny teenager, and it's all like big dudes in there, but everyone was pretty nice, and just kept going from there.
I love that because everybody's got to start somewhere. Those big dudes didn't get big the first day they walked in. That was a process.
Right, and that's what I tell people, and it's a lot of people are intimidated to walk into a gym, and just there always could be an idiot, but most people are there to just help you.
Right.
Everyone started somewhere.
Gotcha. Love that. All right, so we have the next question from the collective, and they want to know, when did you know it was time to go 100% in on Michigan kettlebells?
I got to a point at the fire department and the gym where the gym grew. We got hired a business coach, and we quadrupled our revenue in 1 year. And it was at a point where I was exhausted. When I say about sleep,
Sure.
that's why I talk about sleep,
Yeah.
because it was like I wasn't sleeping. The fire department kept getting busier. The gym was busier, and I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a decision, the hardest decision I ever made. So, but it was around 2017, and I started kind of planning it out about a year
Gotcha.
before.
Gotcha. How did you weigh those pros and cons? Was there any, did you make a list? Did you just meditate on it? Tell us more about how you sort of got to that decision.
I always say the one thing the fire department taught me was, not the one thing, one of the many things was, but
Sure.
it, nothing's for certain in life. You can plan as much as you want, and you don't know what's going to happen. And
Right.
so, it's not like trying to live your life like it's the end of the world every day, but part of me was like, okay, I started this. One of them has to, at the time, I thought one of them had to go.
Sure.
And
Right.
so it was a difficult decision. And it felt kind of like I don't know, I felt like it was so difficult. Like,
Sure.
if I leave the gym, it's gone.
Right.
If I leave the fire department, it's going on. I remember talking to somebody once, and I said, if all of us, something horrible happened to all of us, you could take 60 firefighters from the state of Michigan, put them in here, and those trucks are still going to roll out. Might not be as good, but they're still going to go. Those tones are going to go off, and the trucks are still going to roll, and people are going to get helped.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's not a beautiful way of looking at it, but that is a really great way of looking at it. Continue. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's like why the fire department was so good with the structure, where it's like you have this built-in structure, and that's the way it should be. Where it doesn't matter; it just keeps going and going and going. And so the gym just felt a little more personal.
Gotcha. I love that. So I want to circle back to two things you said. You said that, you had quadrupled your revenue with the gym. How did you do that?
Hired somebody, and they just taught me to not be afraid to sell.
Tell us more about that, because I know that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. Number one, the hiring and like letting go of like some of the, directing, and then the selling as well.
Yeah. And he just said, do you believe in your product? And I said, well, yeah, of course I do. Then he's like, then you should do everything possible to convince somebody to buy your product. And then also look for, he said, like, try this, and I would be like, well, your gym's different. Your gym is 10,000 square feet and different part of the country and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but it wasn't before.
Right.
It was smaller than your gym. And so it was just, I was looking for things, how something wouldn't work, instead of looking at how it would work.
Ooh.
And so
pin that. That's really important, I think. Right? That perspective change.
Yeah. He helped me get out of my way.
Gotcha. How did you find, so it was like a business mentor, and you noted that he had a gym of his own. Was this somebody that you met at a conference or in your network? Like, how did you find that person that sort of was able to guide you along your way?
I met him. My wife belonged to like an internet marketing group, and at events that we'd travel around to, I met him there, and it was just, he started helping me just for free, basically, just to help me out. And then I decided to hire him. And I think I was one of his first clients. He was kind of in a transition.
Sure.
point.
That's wonderful. Well, yeah, I feel like, a lot of business owners, are always looking for somebody to help, or somebody that's been there, or that they can, bounce ideas off of. And I think, and your situation is a prime example of why, because that really can help springboard you. Not only, did he help you change that perspective, like, man, I'm definitely going to be thinking about that, like, going forward, like, why wouldn't somebody why they wouldn't want this versus of course they would, right? Like you believe in it. Why wouldn't they want it? And then, that it helped you quadruple your revenue. I just think that's amazing. So really, really great stuff. All right. Our next poll is closed. The collective next would like to know, Craig, how has your original mission evolved?
Well, originally it's kind of weird. It's kind of come full circle.
Okay.
Originally, it was I wanted to only train high school athletes and just part time, because of the fire department. And then I started training adults more, and then not really training high school athletes. And got into training adults and training just people closer to my age, and then Corona COVID kind of changed things. So the gym, just full disclosure, gym kind of suffered a lot during Corona and during COVID, and the gym was a very small gym, and so it was like everyone's kind of piled on top of each other practically. I think that's kind of been we couldn't really make a lot of space. There was a time we were down to 4, but I started training a bunch of athletes again last year from a wrestling club, and I was like, I really like training these people. And then I started working part-time for actually one of my gym members doing project management. And so it's kind of, I kind of realized at least right now and for a while, like I wanted to have a huge, like 10,000 square foot gym. I don't think I want that anymore right now in my life. And so whether we transition more to, I like the smaller community. I like the, definitely want to do some more things in the online space. And I can see that definitely in a transition.
Right.
And it's, I'm not sure though. So, in the last few years, never thought that would happen, but, and so online thing I don't think is really going away. And I don't think the internet's going away. If it does, probably everything's really messed up at that point. Yeah.
Big problems. Gotcha. I think gym owners, specifically, I remember during COVID really suffered, of course, like you said, like the sweat and the heavy breathing, and then you're in the small space. What was one of your biggest lessons that you learned going through that as a business owner?
That I was really grateful for a lot of the relationships that I made. And that people that weren't members reached out to me. I mean, that haven't been a member or moved away or whatever. A lot of people reached out to me. I had someone reach out and say, "I'll just, if you need money, let me know, and I'll just send you. Just give me a number." And I didn't take it, but it was like, wow. It was like, I just sold my business. I've made a ton of money, so I'll just give you money. You don't have to pay it back. And I was like, someone that called me that I haven't talked to in like 18 months or something at the time.
Wow.
And it was like it was like the community came together. Somebody passed from COVID recently, and people that haven't been to the gym in years, came out, and so it was definitely the relationships to me is the most important thing that I've ever gotten from the gym.
Yeah, that's Ziz just commented that it says so much about you, Craig, as a person, as a business owner, that people did that at that time. And I think that's incredible. So yeah, amazing. All right. We're winding down on time here. We have our final poll result, Craig. Final question from the collective is, name one thing you wouldn't have done if you hadn't taken the leap.
One thing I wouldn't have done?
Right.
If I haven't taken the leap. So you mean going full time or just starting the business?
Well, it could be either or. Like, you could still be working at the fire department and balancing both. Maybe there was something that you got to do because you took the full-time leap, or even just starting it. It can be anything. Does there's anything
that I would not do? Okay.
that you wouldn't have done? Like, I wouldn't have been able to go to this
Okay. I
conference
kind
and
of
meet
misunderstood
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
if meeting all the different people. Like, I wouldn't have met the people that I hang out with the most right now. I wouldn't have traveled to Utah last year to marry two of my gym members standing on a mountain. I wouldn't have,
Amazing, Craig.
I wouldn't have had the friends that I have. I wouldn't have the opportunity to have, this job that I have right now. And I wouldn't have been able to help you if I wouldn't have had people tell me that we helped change their life. And so taking the leap can be scary. And I just tell people it'll probably be harder than you think, but just really do your research, get people that have been there and kind of done it to help, get a mentor sooner. And, but just because somebody started a business in something completely different, like the person that helped me was very dialed in, knew exactly what to do because he already did it.
Right. Yeah, that's the importance of community and mentors. And that's, again, shameless plug, why the collective is here for you guys, right? To be able to connect to somebody, to be able to ping an idea off of somebody, or you get that support in any way, to be able to do it from anywhere. So that's fantastic. All right, Craig, we're wrapping up here. Anybody in the audience have any follow-up questions for Craig? We have a few more minutes left in the weekly campfire. Please drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to serve them up to Craig. I'm going to take the lead and say, what's next for Michigan Kettlebells and you, Craig?
I definitely see some online things coming, and whether it's a program or streaming, I'm not sure exactly. It's kind of what I wanted to do originally 11 years ago. So, and then the brick and mortar happened. So, just to keep going forward.
I love that.
And trying to keep helping people.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you for answering that. And Ziz wants to know, what is your favorite kettlebell exercise for core?
Really heavy, like overhead carries for a core. Cleaning. I mean, anything.
Does not sound fun. Really?
Or actually, my favorite exercise is probably the clean and jerk.
The what?
So it's called the clean and jerk or clean and press. And I know it's not a traditional core exercise, but when you're going with heavy weights, you have to fire your core really well, or else you'll feel it in your back. And so, kind of like my carrying stuff is my kind of favorite core exercises, which don't seem like a core exercise. Everyone thinks it's sit-ups or whatever.
Right.
But as in kettlebells, just slinging them hard, because every time you do a rep, you need to properly engage your abs.
Gotcha. This has farmer's walks. Is that like carrying stuff?
Yeah. Farmer's walks, overhead carries, rack carries are probably the hardest, because the weight's sitting on your chest, and then you really have to fire to stabilize everything.
Oh, my abs hurt just thinking about it, which is the whole point, I'm sure. Awesome. Well, anybody else have any final questions for Craig? Yeah, Bundan feels me. I thought I was doing well with my sit-ups here, and now it turns out like I'm missing half of it. Oh, Ziz says he doesn't have any racks sitting around the house. That's all right. You can just you could probably grab like a gallon of milk, right, Craig? Like, what could you use if you don't have kettlebells in your house?
Any weight, a sandbag, whatever.
Baby sandbag.
Yeah, traditional ab exercises are still great. Planking. We do planking almost every single class. So just a regular plank. I mean, it's a great core exercise.
Gotcha. Awesome. I love it. All right. Any final words to share with the collective, words of advice or anything before we wrap up today, Craig?
Just if you want to be an entrepreneur and you believe in something, I would, I know this is kind of cliche, but it's like, don't try and find something just for the money. Try something you love, but also realize you do need to make money. Because without money, a business doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's like the balance of just finding something that you love and turning it into a business, not just a job that you own.
Right. Gotcha. Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, audience. Please drop some takeaways from our conversation with Craig today in that chat. We appreciate you joining us. Craig, thank you so much for joining us and
Thank you,
sharing
Leslie.
your entrepreneurial journey. It was a pleasure. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all. Come back here next Tuesday for another weekly campfire. Have a great one.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
If you'd like to join the Accelerate Collective and attend future campfires, visit accelerateamerica.com/join and check out our future guest at accelerateamerica.com/campfire. Take care.